Now we would like to introduce you a motorbike which is one of the most famous ones in the history, because from this model more than 1 million pieces were sold, and on this way this is the biggest amount sold engine used vehicles of the world. And now in Europe again buyable the famous Honda Super CUB. The history of the Super CUB was started in 1958, so many more than 60 years ago, and even Honda was surprised by the success of this small motorbike. The concept, of course, it has a lot of generations, but the concept is just the same as it was from the beginning. This is a small moped with big wheels, with a 4-stroke engine and automatic clutch, so practically without clutch, but you have a normal gearbox with 4 speeds, and you can change manually or your left foot. And all in all, the thing that we would like to find out now is that what is the secret of this small motorbike, why it became the most successful one in the whole world, and who are those people who really want to buy it in the 21st century and here in Europe, especially here in Hungary. As far as I know, the Super CUB is the only vehicle in the whole world which has a 3D copyright, which means that Honda protected the whole silhouette of the motorbike in 3 dimensions, and nobody can copy it. This is not free. This form belongs to Honda, and under these typical leg guards of the front part, we can find the 1-cylinder engine which had several versions during the years, from 50 cubic centimeters, and the European version, the C125, as its number is showing, has a 125 cubic centimeter 1-cylinder 4-stroke engine, which is maximum power output is just a little bit under 10 brake horsepower, and the maximum torque is just a little bit over 10 Newton meter. And this power with the 4-gear gearbox is enough to move with the vehicle. The vehicle itself is 109 kilos plus the rider, so it is enough to move normally in a European traffic. It means that if there is no traffic jam, you have to pull the throttle, that the faster cars shall not step on your rear section, but normally it is enough to change your position for something else. It's not really, but this vehicle is not about running and racing. The brake system of the new Honda Super CUB is on the same level as the moving possibilities of the motorbike makes necessary. In the front we have a 220 mm disc brake with a simple 1-piston caliper, and it has an ABS, and we make it work from with our right hand, and this part is really making it through what Honda rider training teach, that you have to brake with 4 fingers if the speed of the Super CUB reaches 70-80 kilometers per hour, then you will pull the front brake with 4 fingers, otherwise you cannot even lock the wheel or make the ABS work. And the weakest part, I think, the front part is the 70 mm wide tire. In the rear we have a drum brake. It's very small, 130 mm, and this one is of course without ABS system, so you can lock the rear wheel very easily. The rear wheel is working with the right foot's pedal from here, and normally while riding the front brake can be enough, but if you are in an emergency situation you have to use the rear one as well. But never forget that the rear section is going to lock if you brake hard. Of course, originally this motorbike was not planned for the European and American and etc. continents, but it was made for the Far East, for Japan, India, Taiwan, etc. And key to its success is how it is built up. so the whole front part is really protecting your legs pretty well from the rain and everything else. It has big wheels. The suspension is very simple, but on the bad roads, bumpy roads, it's surprisingly comfortable. You have a gear change system which is working very well, even in flip-flop or sandals or anything, so you do not have to have a motorbike boot, because in that area where this vehicle is used, protective motorcycle clothing is absolutely unknown. So all in all, the whole bike is very simple and very well usable with the eye of a Far East rider, and very good for moving from A to B, and this is the main purpose of this motorbike in its original place. That's why it became so successful, and which is also very important, that the whole technique is totally simple, so there are no mistakes, no failures, and it's very cheap to use it, and it's also very cheap to buy it in its original region. So let's check out how this very, with our eyes, unique gear system is working, because on the left side, behind the foot peg, we have a gear lever which is has a two-sided pedal. It has a front and the rear part as well, so I can change the gear with my heel as well, always down, and with my front part of my foot, so when pushing down the front part, I always change the gear up. Let's check out how it is working in real life. So let's check out how the gearbox of the Super CUB is working, because it's going round ways all the time. When I'm in neutral, I have to push the front part of the gear lever pedal, and in first gear, without using the clutch, as it is automatic, I can start. I always release the throttle and push the front part of the gear pedal, and then I'm already in second gear, third gear and fourth gear, and riding like this. When I want to stop in fourth gear, I can do it on a way that I simply slow down the bike and I can stop in fourth. And if I just forget everything and start to pull the throttle again, then it starts, but very slow and not dynamic at all. And in this case, if I push the front part of the pedal again, then it's going to neutral again, and the front part pushing one more time, it's immediately in first gear, and then I can start easily. There are some things that we have to take care of in these types of gearboxes. First of all, when you are gearing upways and you forget closing the throttle, it opens the clutch, the whole system, and it's sounding like this. So not too nice. The other thing is when you want to use the engine brake and you are gearing down, then it can really easily lock the rear wheel. I show you just one moment. So I switch up to third, and from here, if I just gear down, then it really easily locks the rear wheel. So maybe using the engine brake is not the best and easiest way in these types of gearing systems. One part of the low maintenance costs is the closed chain system. How many years ago we saw something similar in a bike in Europe? It's really many years ago. But this is really a low maintaining part. As a Honda Super CUB's owner bought its bike only to ride it and change his or her place, and not for maintaining the chain and everything else. As I have already mentioned, there is no keeping possibility or storage under the seat. The seat itself can be opened, as we are already in the 21st century, with a small push here on the left side, and when I open it, we can see that only the fuel tank is under it. It's less than 4 liters, but as the bike consumes less than 1.5 liters on 100 kilometers, it is enough for several kilometers ride, especially as the top speed of the bike is not too high. With my body weight on a totally flat road and without any big wind, it was exactly 85 kilometers per hour. As we are already in the 21st century and this version of the Super Cub was designed and made for us in Europe, that's why it has a lot of innovation, technical innovations. For example, the keyless ride system, the key itself, which is not a key, is in my pocket, and if I am close enough, then from this gray button I can activate the locked steering, and I can put on the ignition as well. And if once I have put on the ignition, then let's check out the dashboard as well. It has a speedometer which is analog, and in the midsection it has a very nice designed LCD with a fuel gauge, gear indicator, which is very important. So here I can see when I am in neutral, when I am in first, etc. We have an odometer and 2 daily counters and clock, and nothing else, because nothing else is important for a Super Cub's rider. And of course, as I have already mentioned that we are in the 21st century, this bike has a totally LED light system, so the main light, the reflector and the indicators and everything are made with a LED system. This is a modern Super Cub, so although the bike passed the age of 60 years, but its silhouette is not changing, but the inside is changing as the age is wishing it. I think the key of the original success of the original Honda Super Cub we have already found out. The very simple mechanical things, the cheap price, the cheap maintaining costs and everything else, and the cheap possibility of moving to A to B. This was the original key to the success of the original Super Cub in the Far East. But in the 21st century, here in Europe or in the USA or anywhere else in the world, so let's say in a Western type of civilization, the key of the success of this new Honda Super Cub is something totally different, because this is not really cheap. Here in Hungary, not at all. Just to speak about other Hondas, the SH125 is on the same price, but that is a much more practical motorbike with a storage under the seat, without needing of changing the gear, with ABS on the rear wheel as well. So that's a much better motorbike for a European citizen from the practical side. Or if we speak about a PCX 125, then that is a cheaper, pretty much cheaper motorbike than this one here in Hungary. So the key to its possible success in Europe is something totally different, that this is a fashionable motorbike. So for people who are buying the latest Honda Monkey, this one, the European Super Cub, is also a very good choice, because it's very fashionable, very unique. Here we will not see on every corner one, it's for sure. But for a real hipster, this is a very good choice. And besides, this is a historical motorbike, so you can say that my motorbike was sold in more than 100 million pieces. That's why somebody have to buy a new Honda Super Cub. If you liked our video, please push a thumb up for it. If you donate our work, you can find a link of it under the video in the description. Then we will send all of our films before their publicity to you. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe for our channel and watch our previous works as well. Thank you very much for your attention.